evening, ladies as well as gentlemen. Papa Boris is back for some more Hearthstone Arena action, and I'm not avoiding the Warlock or the Hunter to play the Priest, which was one of my most consistent and favorite classes. It has actually been the longest since we've had Priest, so I'm always super excited when I'm like, no, I'm not just avoiding the classes I don't like. It's actually legitimately time to play Priest. Let's do this thing. Alright, so we're starting with garbage, and great cards, so that's an easy way to begin the draft. Here, Fairy Dragon is a really good 2-drop. I like the Silence, though. I really like the Silence. Sometimes all you need is to block a taunt or whatever, or get rid of a Divine Shield, and not having to spend any mana to do it is pretty spectacular. Now, the thing that you might say is the problem with this card is that it's card disadvantage because you lose a card and the opponent's creature stays on the board. And that's true in theory, but I find that in practice, it's always worthwhile to have one of these in your deck. So, do I take it over a Fairy Dragon, which is a really great 2-drop? I'm respecting it more and more. I mean, it can be killed with weapons, it can be killed with creatures, but the fact that it can't be backstabbed or frostbolted or whatever gives you a great sense of security when you drop this on turn 2. You know what, I'm going to take the Silence. It's early in the draft. This is a 3-2 for 2, that's fine, but the Silence can do so much more. We're going to grab it here. I have to choose between the Mind Control, the Beloved Priest card, or the one of the premier 5-drops in the game, the Silverhand Knight. You know, there are other 5-drops that are good. There are no other Mind Controls. Let's go ahead and make sure we get one of these in the deck. Hey, look at that, we get this guy anyway, so do I take it over a Thoughtsteal? Thoughtsteal is fun, it's definitely a solid card, but let's make sure we get a really good 5-drop in here to make sure we got some good of a late game. Oh geez, well the Circle of Healing, that I'm not super thrilled with. The Dalaran Mage I don't really like either. I hate these 1/4 stats. It's just too easy to kill it off. So we'll take the Bluegill Warrior. It's not really a 2-drop. It's more of a kind of quasi-removal, but it works. Another Thoughtsteal? Loot Hoarder? I'm going to take the Frostwolf Warlord. This is another really great 5-drop, and it works really well with the Imp Master, so I don't really want to miss a chance to pick up this giant dude. We have 2 Chumper Nuggets or Frost Elemental. Well, the fear I have with Frost Elemental is it's going to be my 4th card in 7 picks that's 5 mana or more. It's just so good, though. If I, later on in the draft, if I have this kind of pick again and my endgame is full, then sure, I'll take the Abusive Sergeant. But right now, I just want to take the good cards. So here we're getting a 4-drop. Wow, very tough call here. I think the Stormwind Knight is fine, but it's a cut below these two. If we're just, doing pure 4-drop comparison. Ascension is great because you need the taunt, but the Dark Iron Dwarf, I have lost so many damn games to the Dark Iron Dwarf, where it's like, okay, I have a creature, they have a creature, if they kill my creature, that's fine, if they don't kill it, that's fine, but when they play the Dark Iron Dwarf, kill my creature, and leave a 4/4 body on the board, it's so irritating to deal with. I almost want to take it over the Sen'jin, even though the Sen'jin is Premier Taunt. You know what, folks? Let's try, in the name of education, let's take the Dark Iron Dwarf. There are other things that give taunts. There's nothing that's quite as good as the Dark Iron Dwarf, though, so we'll pass on the Sen'jin right there. Second Frostwolf Warlord is greedy. You're starting to run into risks that you'll draw both of them, and you can't actually get them both onto the board of an appreciable size. And the Reckless Rocketeer, I don't want to take another 6-mana card that I'm not thrilled with, so we'll take the Stormwind Knight here. He is like a Bluegill Warrior with more health. And here we're getting a Llama-Bot, which is trash, and it's really then the pick between the Questing Adventurer or the Lightwell. Now, the Lightwell is one of the most obnoxious cards in the game, for sure. It's hard to kill, and it makes it so that your opponent, if he cannot kill the Lightwell, then he has to, just do nothing. Because it almost, doesn't even matter what he does. So, it's interesting to have this in the deck, and it works nicely with Inner Fire. Now, the Questing Adventurer can be good as well. But, and he said, I sometimes have gotten him out of control. Weirdly enough, I actually have a harder time getting the Questing Adventurer out of control than the Flesh-Eating Ghoul. And I think that's the reason for that is that the Flesh-Eating Ghoul works with the creatures that were already on the board when it was played, so there's already stuff to potentially die and grow it, whereas the Questing Adventurer is purely from cards you play from your hand. So I'm actually going to grab the Lightwell here. This will make it a little bit more enticing for me to pick up Inner Fires later in the draft, and because the Inner Fire turns this into a 5/5 self-healing monster for 2 mana. And I think it's just a little bit more consistent than the Questing Adventurer is. Okay, well, here, we don't have any card draw in the deck, so the Acolyte of Pain is a very good pickup. And, well, the Shattered Sun Cleric is really good, definitely. I don't think it's quite... sometimes it does absolutely blow games out, but I think the Chillwind Yeti is just so important to have in your deck. I've lost a number of games to the stupid Chillwind Yeti. I've also lost some to the Shattered Sun Cleric, but the Chillwind Yeti is just great on its own. The Shattered Sun Cleric, it needs a bit of work, so we're going to grab the Yeti here. We're getting a late game pick here. Well, these are all expensive. So the Spiteful Smith, if you compare it to the Boulder Fist Ogre, we're getting 2 extra power and 1 extra health for an extra mana point. That's 3 extra stats for 1 mana. That is absolutely worth it. The Enrage obviously being no good for priests who do not have weapons. So we'll take the Ogre here as some premier endgame. Do I want to pay 2 extra mana for the Mind Control over the Frost Elemental? Yes, I do. Elven Archer, I could also take for mana curve reasons. Actually, that's worth thinking about. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's fine. We're still doing okay. Mana curve wise, we'll grab that here. Okay, Shadow Word Death is nice for killing off your opponent's scariest stuff. Here, we've got to choose between the Knife Juggler or the Shadow Madness. Not to say the Crazed Alchemist hasn't been good. I have found that it actually is often good. It'll let you do something like, oh, well, I guess it actually does matter if it's a 3-2 or a 2-3, and then you change it, and then it actually lets you do something nifty, but these cards are on another level. So I don't usually have any 2-drops except for the Lightwell, which makes me want the Knife Juggler, but Shadow Madness is very good removal, and I'm actually low on removal. Look at my deck right now. I've got a Shadow Word Death and a Bluegill Warrior. That's it. So we're going to have to take the Shadow Madness here just to respect the needs of the deck and what's currently missing. Amani Berserker is a very, very good 2-drop, and I would take it here if I were better on removal. Right now, other than Mind Control, which is 8 mana, all I got is the Shadow Word Death and the Bluegill Warrior. Maybe kind of the Silence, kind of. We need this. We need the Holy Smite here a lot. Here it's a very easy pick. We'll take a Shattered Sun Cleric. And here, so the Violet Teacher is very good, but we have a decent number of 4-drops. We have the Yeti, the Dwarf, the Knight. We're actually a bit low on 2-drops. We just have the Bluegill Warrior, and that's it. Well, and the Lightwell, kind of, but but the Bluegill Warrior is more like removal, and the Lightwell obviously doesn't attack. So I'm actually going to grab the Mana Wraith here. I'm going to respect the curve a little bit. I have 4-drops. This is a good one, but I need stuff to play, and especially if I'm having a slow start, and this is the only creature I'm dropping, it can be really, really nice to slow down my opponent as well. Okay. So all 3 of these picks have merit. Knife Juggler is good because I'm still low on 2-drops. I really just have the Mana Wraith and the Lightwell, and the Lightwell almost doesn't even count. It's really just the Mana Wraith. The Imp Master is great for the Frostwolf Warlord. It's also good for Dark Iron Dwarf. I have one already here, but another one would be good. I also only really have 2 3-drops, Acolyte and the Imp Master. Oh, and I actually have the Shattered Sun Cleric. Never mind, I'm doing okay on 3-drops. Now, the Argent Commander is just great, and it's kind of like removal. The main fear I have is curve. So I have got 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures in this range, and then 2 Mind Controls at the end. So can I afford to take this? Well, if I see a Temple Enforcer, I'd really want to have one of those later on in my last 10 picks of the draft. And it's starting to get to be a bit big. Let's say I were to take this out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards at 6 mana. Yeah, it'd be a little bit scary to take a Temple Enforcer, or really any other good 6-drop then. And the Knife Juggler, I mean, it's not like I have that aggressive of a deck. I don't know how many knives I'm going to really be able to fling. Man, it's a tough call. Alright, the Argent Commander is a very good card, but for some reason my instinct here is to take the Knife Juggler. It just feels to me like that will make the deck function better, so I might regret this, but we're going to grab the Knife Juggler here. Mainly because of curve reasons. We got a trash pack here. So Mind Blast is just a god-awful card. I really can't stomach it whatsoever. War Golem is expensive, but we have a lot of expensive stuff, so we'll take the Downrun Mage here. It's actually terrible in this deck. I don't have any Holy Novas, and I don't have any, and all I really have that would get benefit from the spell damage is Holy Smite. So we have this really crappy 1/4 body for 3 mana. I might even consider throwing away a card and taking Mind Blast to maybe burn my opponent out. Alright, we'll take the Mage. Maybe we'll still get a Holy Nova later on. Alright, we can take another Silence. I don't want to get this expensive thing, so we'll take the Ooze here as an out against weapons. There's a Holy Nova. I really want this Tiger, but Holy Nova is extremely important to have. Oh no! Well, if I'd known I'd get another Holy Nova, I would have taken the Tiger last time. I'd love to see the Tiger here. Alas, I get this thing or the second Silence. We'll take another Holy Nova, I guess, but man, that's a bit frustrating. Okay. Well, we actually did pick up enough 2-drops, but because I aggressively drafted this Knife Juggler over the Argent Commander, I'm doing fine on 2 mana creatures. So I don't really need this Grunt that much. The question is, do I need the Taunt? Oh god, I don't have any Taunt. I passed that 1 Senjin Shieldmaster, and then I have 0 Taunt left over. Yeah, we need the Taunt over the card draw, so I'll take the Grunt. Speaking of Taunt, we can get the Bear here. The Power Word Shield is just such a great card, though. Let's think. For card drawing, currently, I have the Acolyte of Pain. And that's it. I mean, Mind Control is card advantage. So a card draw, I just have the 1. But I think I need Taunt here in my deck. I mean, I know that Taunt is easy to overrate, but at the same time, this is a pretty good Taunt creature. It helps my curve out a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to grab the Grizzly there. Ah. Well, so now I'm taking the Knife Juggler over the Argent Commander. Helps me pick up the Temple Enforcer with a Light Heart, because these things are things I don't really want to be taking, so that's nice. Divine Spirit, there's a card I'm not a big fan of, because it's a card at disadvantage. You're putting 2 eggs in one basket, and so if the creature dies, you're just out 2 cards. We'll take a Premier 3-drop here over the Divine Spirit. And do I still need more removal? This is a good 4-drop. I could use some more big bodies. Let's see, I have Holy Smite, that's 1. Bluegill Warrior will count, that's 2. Shadow Word Death, that's 3. Holy Nova sort of counts. It's not single target, so it's a bit different. But let's say 4/5. Yeah, I need some more early removal here, and I'll take a Twilight Drake over another Lightwell. Okay, well this draft overall was all right. I'm missing Shadow Word Pain, which hurts, and I'm missing Light Spawn, which hurts. I do have a Shadow Word Death, and I do have a couple of Holy Novas here. There were some really hard picks here. The curve of this deck had a hard time sorting itself out, so it's possible that I'm going to have weird draws. But I made some decisions out of respect for curve, which should help me, so I have a lot of late game with like the 2 Mind Controls, the Frost Elemental, the Ogre, but I aggressively picked a Knife Juggler over an Argent Commander. We'll see how much I have to pay for that decision. And here we are up against a Mage, so this is a pretty easy mulligan decision so far. We'll pass back the Shadow Word Death. It's not going to come into play just yet. We'll pass back the 6-mana Frost Elemental. We'll keep the early removal and the 3-drop, and we'll hope to get something good to play on turn 2. We don't. We get more late game. Well, this could be an awkward game, but it's possible if I get at least another 3-mana creature, I could coin up one of them out on turn 2 and play the other one on turn 3. Well, so far the deck is not obliging me. It's just filling me with Holy Smites and expensive creatures. Fairy Dragon, conveniently, is the one thing that cannot be killed with Holy Smite. But we get an Iron for a Grizzly. Well, we're going to actually coin this thing out. I'm basically trying to hold the fort until my late game can come online, so I don't really mind spending a coin and a 3-drop to trade for her 2-drop. I didn't want to play the Dalaran Mage. Previously, the Dalaran Mage was a 2/4, and I think that nerfing this was a mistake. I think it should have stayed at 2/4. But now that it's a 1/4, the Fairy Dragon could have just attacked into it, and then the hero ability would have finished it off. Well, this actually just blows, so my opening is terrible here. Oh, God. Shadow Badness would actually allow me to steal the Mana Worm and trade these creatures off, but I can't play it right now. So I'm just going to throw the Dalaran Mage under the bus. Another option would have been to wait until next turn to play it, and with the spell damage, use Holy Smite to pick off the Mana Worm, but I just don't think I could afford to do any waiting. Hopefully my opponent does not play 2 spells. If she does, I won't be able to use Shadow Madness to kill off, or to pick off the Mana Worm. Alright, is she going to spend the hero ability to finish that up? Yes, she is. That's good. And play the Bluegill Warrior. That's an interesting choice. Well, she's really battering me down. I'm almost at 20 health, luckily. Shadow Madness is pretty good. I could also use this guy now that I just drew him. But no, he will then die to the Mana Worm. Yeah, that's no good. We're going to just Shadow Madness this while we can do that. And we're going to pop these 2 creatures against each other. So now I'm alright. I can play this guy next turn and a Holy Smite to finish off this Bluegill, which is good. My opponent didn't have anything for 5 mana. She could have potentially run away with the game if she had. She actually did nothing, so my opponent seems to be holding on to a lot of global removal. I'm actually going to use the Holy Smite here. The reason is I want to preserve the health on this guy. Coming up on turn 7 here against a mage, I really would like this anything I have to be above 5 health if possible, so it survives Flame Strike. And in general, so it's like if I had run into the Bluegill, Frostbolt could finish this off, that sort of a thing. Alright, well this 3 health makes me wish I had saved my Dalaran Mage so that I could have spell damage enhancing this Holy Smite. She is going to work down my creature, which I cannot blame her for. Mind Control, that'll be nice to have shortly. What we're going to do is we're going to play the Frostwolf Warlord. And we're going to actually kill off this creature. So this guy was at 4 health. I mean, I could have healed him with my Priest ability at some point, but he was a dead man walking anyway. So might as well just put a creature on the board, take her creature off the board. This 5/5 is decently sized. It survives Flame Strikes. And actually, the Temple Enforcer will probably buff my Frostwolf Warlord. It'll only put this guy up to 5 health. I'll still be a turn away from being able to heal it back up to the full 8. So I'd like to get my Frostwolf as big as possible to survive Fireballs. It looks like he's about to get Fireballed before I can save him, unfortunately. That sucks. And we have a secret. That's annoying. Well, so if it's Mirror Entity, then my opponent will get a 6/6 for it. But I do have Mind Control coming up, so yeah, we'll risk it. It is in fact Mirror Entity. I mean, there's really nothing I can do there, as you can see. So we'll just ignore it. We'll swing for 2. So now my opponent has 2 options. She can either hit me down to 14, which is a little bit terrifying, and start the race, or she can trade our 6/6s, which is a bit more conservative. I'm really hoping she does the trade because I have Mind Control in my back pocket here, so whatever she plays after this I can steal. Unless, of course, it's her emptying her hand for stuff that has a lot of 3 health, or a lot of stuff that has 3 health. Like if she plays a bunch of 3 health creatures, this Holy Nova is useless, and I will probably lose the game. We'll see what she wants to do. As a mage, she could very reasonably have like a Fireball and a Pyroblast here. Now, I'm a priest, so I kind of have a little bit of an insurance against being burned out. So she'd have to be very careful if she chooses to smash me in the face with spells here. Blizzard. Ah, that's very frustrating. So it puts both my guys down to the point where Flame Strike kills them. I can't afford to heal them at this point. I have to steal her 6/6 or kill it. We'll see. Okay, so I'm either killing this with Shadow Word Death or I am stealing it. Silence, interestingly, would actually allow my guy to attack. So basically this Silence is 0 mana, deal 6 damage. That seems good. Yeah. Now, I don't want to... I could kill this, but why do that? Why not just steal it? So a Flame Strike would kill off both of these. But that's fine. That would be her whole turn, pretty much. And hopefully I'll draw something I can actually play. If I draw another, like, spell, then I'll be really awkward here. This card is from earlier in her hand. She's been holding on to it for a while. There, indeed, is the Flame Strike. And we got some spell damage here. That's annoying. Well, we're both at the same life total, so it's a good old-fashioned top deck war. I am not going to Holy Nova just yet. Let's hold the fort on that. We've got the return of the poor man's Flame Strike here, the double Holy Nova. Boy, that's actually a very irritating creature, as is that one. So they both have a cool 4 power, so they're dodging Shadow Word Death, and they both survive Holy Nova. This game. Well, we're going to play Lightwell, because why not? And sure, let's pop a Holy Nova here. So they are both noticed conveniently at 3 health, so the poor man's Flame Strike is not going to do it for them. Man, this game was annoying. So the Mirror Entity was clutch. I could have, I guess, played around it and just not played creatures, but I didn't draw any other creatures to play. So she's taking a moment to kill off the Lightwell, as she well should. She's playing another 4-power creature. This is so irritating. Obviously, I don't think my opponent drafted this deck with that in mind, or at least she probably didn't. But it is quite frustrating here that this Shadow Word Death is sitting in my hand and incapable of doing anything, and the Holy Nova is so woefully, woefully inadequate. It now makes me wish I hadn't thrown away the Dalaran Mage. Had I held on to the Dalaran Mage, I could have actually used it to kill off a bunch of my opponent's creatures here. While she's rightfully ignoring my Boulder Fist Ogre here, because there's absolutely no reason to engage with it, she can just calmly attack me with her mountain of creatures. Yeah, this game was just one of those games. Can I win? 8 plus 2 is 10 damage? No, I cannot. It was one of those games where your opponent just stalls you to an empty board, and then plays a bunch of stuff onto it that you can't deal with, and then you lose. So, that sucked. Let's go ahead and play another game and see if we can do a little bit better here. Ah, man, Mirror Entity. Gotta give my opponents props for drafting that card. It's not a card I'm ever excited to take, but it was really good there. When your opponent's board is empty and he's holding a bunch of big creatures in his hand, the fact that she got a 6/6 out of a 3-mana spell was quite solid. And of course she had the Flame Strike, but my opponent prepped it very nicely as well. She damaged her own guy against my guy to get it down to 4 health, so that if he did get mind controlled, the Flame Strike would kill it, and then my guy was already damaged from previous efforts. I guess I could have like healed my guy or something and then tried to steal her guy, but I don't know. The longer that I kept the 6/6 on the board, the more it was going to be hurting me. Okay, well this seems actually like a pretty good keeping hand. So I can play the Knife Juggler in turn 2. It looks like I won't be coining it out. Priests, or excuse me, rogues have a lot of cheap creatures, so it'll be pretty likely that I can Shadow Madness and 2 for 1. Or if I don't need to do that, I'll play a Twilight Drake. I am second, And Twilight Drake makes a really big difference if you're second or first when it's in your opening hand, because you have the coin in your hand, plus you're also holding on to an extra card for being the second player. Now, I could have coined one of these out to play the other one on turn 2. The reason I didn't is that I actually would like to keep this ooze back, if I at all can, out of deference to Assassin's Blades. That is a 3/4 weapon, so it's really, really nice if you can blow it up when it comes into play. So I won't be using this ooze unless, you know, I really need to because I'm starting to fall behind and whatnot. Harvest Golem's a pretty good answer to the Knife Juggler because it spawns a little thing when it dies. I am not a mage, so I cannot just pick off the golem that spawns for free. Luckily, I have my own Harvest Golem. And there's really no reason to do this trade. My opponent's going to do it for me, so I'll swing. So after the golem kills my Knife Juggler, my golem can kill the little golemlet that spawns, and then we're kind of even. The question, of course, is what is my opponent going to do with 4 mana? She's going to give the little golem stealth. Well, that seems to be... That doesn't seem to be that great of a move. It just seems like what you do when you have nothing better to do on turn 4 and you have a Master of Disguise kind of a move. So here we'll play the Twilight Drake. That's Chill Wind Yeti on crack. And 4/7 for 4 mana is really good. I mean, make no mistake. It's not as good as a 7/7. Previously, the Twilight Drake used to have a variable power. It wasn't fixed at 4. But still, a 4/7 is quite great. So there's the Assassinate. Well, that is my opponent's entire turn. Now, luckily for my opponent, she's got the Master of Disguise, which allows her to kill off my golem. And she is going to then use her previous golem to kill off my new golem. Unluckily for my opponent, I top-decked the perfect card here, so we got a Chill Wind Yeti, which goes nicely with the Holy Smite that finishes off the Master of Disguise. So that was a very, very, very good top deck. And I will happily throw that down. Shadow Madness is a little bit ineffective here, because my opponent might not be playing more than one creature per turn. But I do have a 5/5 coming up. Man, this Frostwolf Warlord hasn't been super great so far. He was a 5/5 in the last game. He's going to be a 5/5 again here, and that's if the Chill Wind Yeti survives, of course. The Yeti has a maddening 5 health, which is really frustrating as a rogue, because Eviscerate deals 4 damage. Ah, there's the Assassin's Blade. Does she have a deadly poison to kill the Yeti with? Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is not a move I'm generally very fond of. I mean, I'm not saying it's always wrong, but it seems a little bit off to me when you play rogue to attack a creature with a weapon that hits really, really hard and not kill it. You might as well at that point just hold on to the weapon or something and hope that you get a way to deal with the creature later. So my opponent's in very bad shape. I destroy her 5-drop. So for 2 mana, I put a creature on the board and pretty much nullified her entire last turn. And now is the time to use the coin and put a Frostwolf Warlord into play. So I want the ooze in the middle. Definitely not the... I don't want the Frostwolf in the middle because he hits hard. So I want the ooze in the middle against Betrayal. The ooze will kill the Yeti, and the Yeti can kill the ooze. I think if she casts Betrayal on the ooze, it'll kill the Yeti, it'll damage the Frostwolf, and then like an Eviscerate will finish the Frostwolf Warlord off. Well, she has the Betrayal, so it's a good thing I played around it. And the question is, does she have an Eviscerate to finish off the Warlord? SI Agent is close. It'll finish off the ooze. Ah, she's going to go for the Warlord, and she's got the Shiv. Very nicely played. Well, that was a pretty nice turn for my opponent. So she handled a very big board with aplomb. Let's go ahead and drop this bear. Heal up and swing. My opponent's low on health, so I just want to start dealing damage to her. I'm at maximum health here. And these 2 mind controls, I'll probably mind control pretty much any old junk that she throws at me, unless, for some reason, she doesn't do this trade. Let's say she kills my bear. Shadow Madness could actually be really good here. I can steal the SI Agent. He's perfect for Shadow Madnessing, and then might very well be able to kill her, at least severely damage something else. Alright, here comes the Ogre Magi. Is that a Shiv coming down? It's an Eviscerate. Okay, that's good. A Shiv would have been better there. With the spell damage, it would have dealt 2 damage and drawn my opponent a card. Alright, Holy Smite's not good here. Shadow Madness actually, with Holy Smite, could kill both of these, but let's just go ahead and mind control her 4/4. This is a move purely for card advantage. Like, it's just so backbreaking that my opponent loses a creature and I gain one. I don't even mind using my whole turn for this. Interestingly, because this is spell damage, the Holy Smite will now kill the Amani Berserker, so I've had a lot of oddly relevant spell damage instances in this game. She's going to actually kill my creature, Well, I can't really blame her. It was going to hurt her pretty good. And play a Panda. Well, let's see. Holy Nova is nice, but let's just go ahead and Mind Control the Panda. I can Holy Smite her face, but there's no reason to do that just yet, so we'll pass the turn here. So the two Mind Controls are both quite good here. They could have, I forget what I took them over. They could have been creatures of some sort or other, but I think it's really helping me to put away the game. She's going to hit creatures all the way down, which makes sense, I guess. It's stopping me from dealing any damage. But I do have the Holy Smite and the Holy Nova for the win. Actually, Shadow Madness and Holy Smite also wins. Alright, well, let's just go ahead and win the game. This is perhaps the more stylish of the two ways of doing it. And that is going to be it for Alafif the Rogue. Alright, well, that was a pretty disheartening start against the Mage, but the game against the Rogue was quite encouraging. We get this Divine Spirit as a reward for leveling up. Woohoo! If you enjoyed the video, do please like and or subscribe. I'll appreciate that tremendously. And if you just can't get enough of Papa Boris, then stay tuned, because the rest of the games are going to be coming up soon. I'll see you in a bit.